welcome back to another Spill the Tea. I am here with Dr. Daniel Jones from UNR. Last month was Technology Facilitated Abuse Awareness Month, and we held our Connected, Not Control Day, of which Dr. Jones was a speaker. Dr. Jones is a published author, and he is the CEO of DarkMind Incorporated. Dr. Jones is an expert when it comes to Dark Triad, so we're going to learn all about that today.
Hi, Emma. Thank you.
Of course. We're so glad to have you, and thank you so much for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Please tell us a little bit more about what Dark Triads are.
So the Dark Triad is shorthand for three dispositionally manipulative personality traits, which are Machiavellianism, Psychopathy, and Narcissism. They are personality traits, meaning that somebody doesn't have to cross a clinical threshold or be diagnosed by a clinician in order to be manipulative. So all of us have traces of these traits within us, some to higher degrees than others.
Right.
The problem with these traits is that once they cross a certain threshold or they get too high in an individual, they start manipulating for their own gain, and they create a lot of harm and pain in the lives of others. So you see things like coercive control, you see things like domestic violence, you see things like manipulation, gaslighting. Very often, not always, but very often, individuals who are callous and manipulative, as these people are, tend to be willing to engage in these types of behaviors to get what they want.
That is so fascinating. Dark triads, of course, like you said, we all have parts of that in us, some more than others. So how do we recognize that sign in someone, or like the symptoms per se, or what have you created to help advocates recognize this more?
Absolutely. So if malicious or manipulative people announce their intentions when you first met them, they wouldn't be very successful at manipulating. So the very key to their success has to do with the fact that they stay cloaked in secrecy and are very difficult to detect. But there are telltale signs in a conversation that you can use to discover whether or not somebody is likely to follow a path of being manipulative. And so, for example, what DarkMind does with our trait spotter technology is we simulate conversations between individuals, and eventually through gamified simulations, we're able to get the end user to recognize manipulation as the conversation unfolds. So we randomly assign a chatbot to be a quintessential narcissist, for example.
Okay.
And as the individual watches the interaction between two chatbots, it's their job to detect which one might be narcissistic. Initially, people may find things narcissistic that are actually very benign and common in conversation, and may miss the signals that are telltale signs of narcissism or highly likely indicators of narcissism, because they come across as charming and polished.
Okay.
So confidence and overconfidence are almost impossible to tell upon first encounter. You need additional information and certain patterns. When is somebody being confident, and is it socially inappropriate in that moment to be confident? And those types of behaviors can be indicative of narcissism.
Okay. And can you explain how you have utilized AI to help gamify and to help not only advocates, but potentially survivors and all sorts of other people recognize this?
Absolutely. So there are a couple of things that we've done. The first one is I didn't want anybody interacting with real psychopaths or real narcissists. I thought that would probably be a social danger. And I didn't want anybody interacting with chatbots that are programmed to be these types directly. We simulate the conversation using artificial intelligence, programmed bots, to be the quintessential narcissist and to interact in escalating patterns that are known to be indicative of these traits.
Okay.
So that's one way. Another way that we're doing this is using machine learning to hone in on the manipulative tactics and interactive patterns with technology that these types of individuals may have at DarkMind. Now, that's a little bit more of a down-the-road technology, but we are looking at how people interact with technology. We're looking at the types of things they say through text and direct message and how manipulation unfolds over time. Because as I'm sure you're aware, nobody manipulates with everything they have in one conversation. Manipulation tends to unfold over time in very signature patterns if you're dealing with somebody of this type of manipulative character.
Okay. That is really fascinating, especially what this technology can be doing in the future and where we see this going. Can you please speak on why it was so important to you to create this, and why you're so dedicated to helping organizations like Safe Embrace utilize this to help our clients and the survivors?
Absolutely. So I've studied dark personalities myself personally for over 20 years. And despite the great progress we've made in understanding the situations, the social constraints, the patterns of behavior, the toxic manipulation, we've done very little as a community, a scientific community, to actually give people shovel-ready active tools to protect themselves from the manipulation which they engage.
Right.
And I find that to be fairly important type of work. So with the help of AI, we're able to get people to watch how these individuals interact in a safe, arm's length environment,
Okay.
so that they can detect social interactions safely and patterns of these social interactions safely. And it's incredibly important to me because I get calls weekly from people who have had their lives destroyed by somebody who has manipulated, coercively controlled, or otherwise destroyed their life through malicious harm. And while throughout human history, deception has been part of human interaction, and they thrive when people are unaware of the tactics they're using, I think it's time to usher in a new era of humanity where we shine a light on the manipulative tactics these people are engaging in.
Right.
And perhaps these manipulative tactics won't be as effective in the future.
Completely hope that's what happens, because this kind of relates to the book you just published, Falling Fast, which is talking about Emophiles. Can you please explain what Emophiles is?
Sure. Emophilia is an individual difference, much like extroversion or self-esteem. Emophilia is an individual difference trait that describes how fast and often somebody falls in love. So we all have a threshold at which we physiologically, emotionally, cognitively say, all right, that's it, I'm in love with this person. However, that threshold can be met very easily for some people and is much higher and takes a lot more time, energy, and familiarity to be reached in others, and maybe perhaps never.
Okay.
So some people could fall in love literally overnight, other people it could take them 10 or 15 years, and everything in between. So as a result of that, it's not a pathology, it's not a diagnosable disorder, it's just the way people are. And it comes with trade-offs like any other individual difference variable. There are benefits to being an extrovert and there are downsides to being an extrovert. Benefits to being an introvert, downsides to being an introvert. Hemophilia is no different. So I want to get away from the idea that people who fall in love easily for no other reason than they just enjoy the rush of falling in love are somehow pathological or damaged. There are reasons pathologically why people may fall in love immediately or latch on, such as anxious attachment or dependent attachment disorders. Emophilia is very different. It's a want-based excite process. The problem with emophilia and why it's relevant to our conversation is that narcissistic individuals are among the most charming, engaging, and love-bombing type individuals we face in our culture. And as a result, if a narcissistic individual comes across somebody who's hemophilic and decides to love bomb them for on the charm, or otherwise presents a completely unrealistic and over-the-top, overconfident veneer, an hemophilic person may have thought they found their soulmate, and it might be a match made in heaven, when in fact it's an interaction that's headed for hell.
That research is so important. This will definitely help advocates understand what survivors are going through and can help us probably empathize with our clients more and see a different perspective. What got you so interested in learning about dark personalities and then dark triads?
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to my PhD mentor, Del Paulus, up at the University of British Columbia. Del has been like a second father to me. He took me in and was really the originator of the concept of Dark Triad research. And he was the direct descendant of Richard Christie, who created the Machiavellianism concept. So it's in my blood, academic blood at least, so to speak. And really it was University of Nevada, Reno students who were coming up to me semester after semester when I lecture on the Dark Triad and say, hey, I have this narcissistic boss, I have this psychopathic coworker, what do I do? And I had no answer for them. And I found that to be completely unacceptable. And those questions really, credit to the UNR student, inspired me to go down this line of how to help people deal and handle and recognize and protect themselves from toxic personalities.
And that is such an important work, because the first step is to recognize what you're dealing with, not let yourself get gaslit into thinking I'm the problem here, and moving forward from that. So thank you for listening to those questions and then doing something about it. That is so important.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who's doing similar type of work?
Yeah, there's actually a woman I'm collaborating with in Italy right now. Her company is called My Twin in the Mirror, and she's developed a whole platform based on cool bottom line rational training on how to handle manipulative individuals, recognize them, spot them, and get away from them. And this is an entire online platform being built in collaboration with several psychiatrists, clinical psychologists, and myself.
That is so awesome. Can you explain why studying technology-facilitated abuse is important to you and why that made you want to collaborate with Safe Embrace?
Well, as technology proliferates throughout our society and it becomes more common that people are engaged in and are going to be using technology, it's going to provide more feeding grounds, unfortunately, for predatory personalities to be seeking potential people they want to target. And so as a result, much like anything else, personality psychology, toxic personality, and toxic personality defense are going to have to move with the technology. And so it's incredibly important that we learn how to leverage technology, not only to protect people, but to provide a way of empowering and informing people. Because technology, artificial intelligence, things like that are not going away anytime soon, but they are going to be grounds for further manipulation and spreading of interpersonal harm if we don't step in and try to do something about it. So we need to cut them off at the pass and stay one step ahead of these predators.
That is 100% true. It is so deeply entrenched in everybody's life. How do you even function in society anymore without?
I find Safe Embrace is a really great organization that stays at the cutting edge of different types of ways to help people, and they really care about the survivors. I find that the organization is one of the kindest and one of the most enthusiastic I've ever worked with, and so I'm very proud to be partnering up with Safe Embrace to be helping these people because I find their work to be incredibly important, and I want everybody to be aware of the work that they do so that people who are in crisis can find a way to rebuild their life.
Thank you so much for the kind words, and thank you so much for your collaboration.
I also want to say that to the people who are listening to this, I get many emails a week of different horror stories of people who have manipulated and destroyed their lives through coercive control.
Yeah.
Very often, you trace it back to somebody who's high in one of these Dark Triad personality traits. And so to the people listening to this, I would really say, like, this is not your fault if you were manipulated by somebody high in a dark personality. And more importantly, you're not alone. This is a very common theme we're finding in society. And so I really would encourage people to reach out to places like Safe Embrace, get yourself to a safe place and rebuild your life, because this is not something that is isolated to you. This is something that I hear heart-wrenching stories from weekly since I've started doing some of this work.
Dr. Jones generously donated a copy to each advocate at Safe Embrace, so stay tuned to see what the advocates think about the book. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate your partnership, your support, and everything that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Cheers.